Searching through websites to find the best price for components so you can build a gaming PC can be so infuriating, rage-inducing. Every website seems to have slightly different prices, then you've got to take delivery prices into consideration. Some of the delivery prices have specific needs before you can actually get that price. It is one of the most irritating things in the PC space. PC Part Picker is a great tool to use when trying to decide what PC parts to use and to get the best prices, but it isn't perfect. And especially in the UK, it misses out on some crucial websites that sometimes have really good prices. So if you're speccing a gaming system for around £750, where do you start? How do you decide what parts to use? Well, you come to Your Tech. Let me see if I can help you. Prices for RAM, SSD and graphics cards are an absolute joke at the minute, and I was going to hold off doing this video until the Rampocalypse ended, so that you can get some decent performance for your money. But it's not looking like it's actually slowing down anytime soon, and if anything, it's going to get worse. So thanks to this ridiculous AI bubble, everyone is now restricted on how they can upgrade their gaming PC, or restricted in actually getting into PC gaming, which is awful, and that's the last thing that anybody wants. So while we wait for this AI bubble to pop, you've got two choices. Either stick with what you've got and don't worry about it, or shop smart, spend your money in the right places and still get very good performance for your money. So the first thing that we need to decide before we get started on what parts are what is we need to decide on a platform. With the market how it is with prices, at this £750 budget, you have got to choose a DDR4 platform. So this leaves AM4 or 12th gen Intel. You've also got 13th and 14th gen Intel, but their prices are a little bit higher, so you're better off sticking with AM4 and 12th gen Intel. You still get good performance, but you won't have to pay DDR5 prices. I have chosen the AM4 platform. It's well established and it still performs fantastic. So let's get into the parts choices. Whilst working out the budget for this build and trying to work out what CPU to choose, my first thought was to use a 5600X. It's one of the most popular CPUs that I've ever seen on the market, but the price of it didn't really make sense for this budget. Whilst I could fit it in this budget, I would have to make quite a lot of compromises to be able to fit it in and for it to make sense. So what I've actually gone for is the 5500. This is currently £75 from CEX. Yeah, that is second hand, but it comes with a 5-year warranty, is a well-performing CPU, 6 cores, 12 threads, Zen 3, it is everything that you'll need in a gaming PC at this, what is now, budget tier, £750 gaming PC. And on top of a cooler that we'll have to buy for it, works out to a really strong budget CPU option. So the 5500 is it. And that leads us on to the first big purchase, RAM. So DDR4 is much cheaper than DDR5 at the minute, but it is still expensive. The cheapest that I could find, a 2x8GB kit of DDR4, was around £120. But from the same place that we got the CPU from, you can get an 8GB stick of DDR4 for £28. So we order 2 of them, and that's £56. Now, as a disclaimer, they do not have to send you 2 matching sticks, which could cause instability and issues. But saying that, every time that I've ordered 2 sticks of DDR4 from CEX, I have always got matching sticks. So your mileage may vary, and that is what I'm going to use as my price point for this, because it's what I would do personally if I was building a £750 gaming system right now. And that means for £56, we get a 2x8GB kit of 3200 mega transfers per second RAM. Not bad at all. And that leads us on to the next component. And the next component is the motherboard. Now, with the motherboard, the only thing you have to really look for is compatibility and any nice to haves that you want. Motherboards can affect performance, but the amount they affect performance by can be very minor. So the only thing you really need to worry about, CPU compatibility, enough RAM slots, and whatever slots you need to complete your build. For example, an M.2 slot, if you need 2.5 gig LAN, if you need a specific amount of USB ports, or anything similar to this. For ourselves, right now, the only thing we're focusing on is a platform that will work and that we can game on. I'm not fussed about any of the optional extras, just want something that I can plug it in and it's going to work. And with that as the reasoning, we have gone for the very cheapest AM4 motherboard that I can find, which is the A520M from Gigabyte. It supports the CPU, it's got an M.2 slot, it's got gigabit LAN, which is basically standard nowadays, 2 RAM slots, It does support RAM overclocking, which is good, so we can run our RAM at its rated speed, and it only costs £45, which to be honest is the most important metric of everything that I've just said. And seeing as I've just mentioned the M.2 slot, let's talk about the SSD. So the SSD prices have gone through the roof as well, and whilst going through Amazon, I was noticing 500GB M.2 drives for over £100, which is crazy. You could get a 1TB M.2 just a few months ago for £75, and now the prices of these M.2s are insane. However, you can get a 1TB M.2 from Amazon by a manufacturer called Clev. This isn't a manufacturer that I'm massively aware of, and it's not one that I've used before, but from looking at the reviews and looking online, they are okay. I mean, the SSD is DRAMless as it's going to be, but it should work absolutely fine for a gaming rig. So that is a 1TB M.2 from Clev for around £107. Not a brilliant price, but it's the best that we're going to do right now. Next thing we need to talk about is how are we going to cool this 5500 CPU? It doesn't run particularly hot and it hasn't got a high power draw. So we're looking for something that's cheap, cheerful, looks okay, and is going to do the job. And to be honest, the only real brand that I can think of right now for bang for buck when it comes to cooling is Thermalright. Their bang for buck is second to none. Their coolers are cheaper and in a lot of cases equal or more performant than the competition. For that reason, we're going to go for a £17.50 cooler, which is the Assassin XR20R Digital Black. This is a CPU tower cooler that will have no issues cooling the 5500. And that leaves us with just 3 more components to get: power supply, case, and graphics card. So we're going to look at the PSU first. I think at this budget, we're kind of looking around the 650 watt mark for a power supply. This will give us very good options when it comes to a graphics card, because a lot of the modern graphics cards are fairly power efficient, especially at this budget point. And to be honest, I'm going to stick with a power supply which has been tried, tested, and true for me personally. I have used this power supply in quite a few builds, and it's always been absolutely solid. And that is the MSI fully wired bronze 650 watt power supply. It's only £45, it's got the connectors that we need, and it just works. I've had 0 issues, I've had none come back, I've not had to do any warranty claims, it just works. I can highly recommend the MSI 650 watt fully wired power supply. And that leaves us with a case. Now, a case can be one of them things where you accidentally end up spending way more money on it than you actually need to. All we really need is a case that will support our tower cooler at 155mm of height, support whatever graphics card we choose, has decent enough airflow to cool the components, and can fit everything we want in it. And to be honest, I was shocked to find this case. This is the Colink Unity lateral ARGB case. It comes with 4 pre-included ARGB fans. It's got plenty of space for all our components, a mesh front, some interesting cutout locations. It has side ventilation on the back, will support the CPU cooler, and will support the graphics card. And the best bit is, somehow it's only £30, which is absolutely insane. I'm very tempted to buy this case and do a review on it, because I cannot believe that a case that looks this good is only £30. That's the one that we're going to be adding to our list. That brings us on to our last component, arguably the most important component, and that is the graphics card. Now, this was not an easy choice. At the minute, we have a total of £373.56 remaining to spend on a graphics card. And for that, you have a lot of options. If you're looking on the second-hand market, that means 3080s, 3070 Ti's, 5060s. I think you can get brand new 5060s for around the same price. 4060 Ti's, again, new or used, depending on where you can find them. 6800 XTs, 7600 XTs. There is a massive choice at this price range of what to choose. But I wanted something modern. We're on a slightly older generation of motherboard and CPU combo, so I wanted something modern graphics wise that you're not going to have to upgrade for a while. So what I chose blew the budget, but it only blew the budget by £1.43. You can make that begging on Facebook if you really wanted to. Beg, borrow, steal, maybe not steal, beg, borrow £1.43 off someone, and you can get a 9060 XT 16GB in this price point, which is awesome. For £751.43, you can get a system with a 9060 XT 16 gig, capable of 1440p gaming, though it excels a lot more at 1080p gaming, but it can do 1440p. 16 gigabytes of VRAM in a £750 computer in the current market, in the current RAM prices, in the current SSD prices, using some used parts and some new parts, getting a 9060 XT 16 gig. I know I shouldn't be this excited, but I was shocked. I thought at the most we would get the 8GB variant of this card. I didn't think I would fit a 16GB version of this card into the budget. And whilst I know it's not in budget, it's £1.43. Even if you have to save up for an extra week or an extra 2 weeks to make that £1.43, do it. Save the money, blow the budget by less than £1.50 and do it, because that is a phenomenal graphics card to pair with your machine. That's my choice for the GPU anyway. So that's the build. For just over £750, we've got a 6-core, 12-thread Zen 3 AM4 CPU, the 5500, 2 sticks of 8GB of DDR4 RAM, terabyte of storage, 650 watt power supply, plenty of cooling, decent case, and a 9060 XT 16 gig. I'm actually really surprised that we managed to spec such a competent system. Now, there has been some shortcuts made in this build. We've got used parts, but all the used parts were bought from CEX. And you do get a 5-year limited warranty with that. So if your components just happen to outright die for no reason, at least you are covered under their warranty, which is great. CEX aren't the most amazing shop in the world. They can be an absolute nightmare to deal with. Their customer service is not brilliant. You will get one reply a day, Monday to Friday, and no more than that when you are having disputes with them. I've had my fair share of issues with CEX, but you can't really argue that much with some of their prices, especially considering you get the warranty. Be careful though, because some of their graphics card prices are more expensive used than they are new, which is weird. Mileage may vary, just shop smart. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, as impressed as I am with what we've managed to spec for £750, and I am massively impressed at the system that we managed to spec for this amount of money, I was shocked at the amount of different combinations of CPU and GPU that we could have chose to get to this budget. 12600KF paired with a 5060 or a 4060 Ti. The 5700X paired with a 9060 XT 8 gig. Would be a great PC, and that's a PC you wouldn't have to upgrade for a while. The 5500 that I've spec'd in the system is not the strongest CPU in the world, and it's probably going to hold back that 9060 XT 16 gig a little bit in 1080p gaming. However, you have an upgrade path. Yeah, AM4 is a dead platform, but the motherboards are still readily available and easy to get hold of, and you still have a lot of options on the used market to upgrade that CPU. 5600X, the 5700X, the 5800X, the X3D chips. There is such a big leap in performance that you can get with the upgrade path of AM4, even in 2026. It may be a dead platform in terms of support, but it's not a dead platform in terms of performance. And that's the important bit. Until these RAM prices come back down, AM4 is still relevant. LGA 1700 is still relevant. And the 12th, 13th and 14th gen, other than the i7s and i9s of the 13th and 14th gen, which are still killing themselves, it is all still usable and performant hardware that you can use to get yourself a fantastic bang for buck PC. Every one of the combinations I've mentioned, 12600K, 5060, 4060 Ti, 6800 XT, 7600 XT, 5700X, all these different combinations of CPU GPUs that you could get within this budget will give absolutely phenomenal 1080p gaming performance, with a lot of them being able to game at 1440p, especially with the leaps and bounds that we've seen with upscaling technology. But what I really want to know is, if you had this budget in this current climate and you just really wanted to get into PC gaming and you had this budget, how would you spec a PC? Would you go a similar route like myself and go for a 5500 and as good a graphics card as you could afford? Or would you go for only used parts? Would you go for no dedicated graphics card? Get something that's a lot more up to date, but just use the onboard video and then save up for a graphics card down the line. Let me know what you'd do in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to watch one of these two. I hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below and let me know what you think. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and hopefully I shall see you on the next one. Bye.